Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Moan. We're here today to talk about Battlefield. Not just Battlefield 4 or Battlefield Hardline or Battlefield 2142. We're here to talk about the series as a whole and the direction that it seems to be going as we move into the release of Hardline. Battlefield for me is like... it's like an old friend. I've been playing Battlefield for a very long time, since Battlefield 2 actually. Tons of time spent in 2142 and even more time spent in the Bad Company series, which to me is still just like the climax, the epitome of, you know, great first-person shooter, multiplayer and single player. Bad Company kicked ass, and we all know it. We all love it, and I don't think there's any real doubt or question about that. But I want to talk about the series, you know, as a whole. You know, what I think about it, you know, moving into the future, and you know, just where I think DICE is just getting it wrong, you know, where they're just trying to push the game in the wrong direction. And I think this discussion actually kind of starts with Hardline above all else, because while we've seen some of the things that I'm going to talk about in 3 and in 4, I think Hardline is really seems to be the game that is pushing it in the ultimate direction that I personally don't want it to go. Now, there's two main components to the Battlefield series that stay, the single player and the multiplayer. Now, the single player hasn't been good since Bad Company. Bad Company was a extremely well crafted and just ridiculously good experience. It had a wonderful single player. It was one of the first, you know, entries in the series to introduce full destructible environments. Well, not full, but pretty destructible environments. A great set of characters for the single player, and it also focused on more of a sandbox type environment for the single player, very similar to what Halo does, making it a really enjoyable game that never felt linear, and at the end of the day, just put a really big grin on your face. There was nothing like cutting down trees, or perhaps an entire forest in Bad Company for no other reason, just to see how long it would take you to cut down all the trees, pretty much. Then, of course, Bad Company 2 did a pretty integral thing for the multiplayer experience. It added bullet drop to sniping as a mechanic, which made sniping a much more enjoyable experience as a whole, and it helped a little bit with a lot of people's complaints about sniping. But to this day, I love Bad Company 2. It's an awesome entry in the series, and is easily one of the best games in this series. It just did everything right. These days, though, one major component of Battlefield is kind of lacking more so than the other, and that, of course, is the single player. Battlefield 3 single player, couldn't care less about it. Battlefield 4 single player, couldn't have cared less about it. They tried to make us care about the characters, they tried to make them interesting, but at the end of the day, it was very, very clear that they were trying to be a lot like another first-person shooter that seems to sell really well these days. Call of Duty, anyone. Of course, a lot of us felt that way, and it was really obvious when we just had QuickTime events all over the place. Plenty of those like, hey, I'm taking the control away from the player moments. Oh, hey, you can only shoot in one direction moment. That's always been the Call of Duty thing. Call of Duty does that, and we expect it from Call of Duty. And to be honest, Call of Duty has done it pretty damn well in the past, and most recently with Advanced Warfare. I expect that when I play a Call of Duty, I'm gonna have the controls take away from me. They're gonna sort of put me on this little thrill ride thing, and you know, I'm probably gonna enjoy it if it's done well enough. However, Battlefield has never been about that. And it never should be about that. It should be about Battlefield moments. Battlefield moments are moments that are created just on the whim by things that are occurring in the game when it's multiplayer, things that are being created by the player. And back in the day, in the sandbox, you know, campaign that was Bad Company and Bad Company 2, moments that were created by the player and the AI, just, you know, completely random and ridiculous moments. Not canted, not script, no quick time events, no press E to knife this guy and shoot that other guy in the face without actually having to press any other buttons. That kind of thing just didn't exist in the past. And it shouldn't exist going into the future, and that is the issue I have with Hardline. Now that we've been seeing more and more of Hardline single player, it's clear that there are a lot of those moments in the game. They're trying to make that big push for the sort of Hollywood blockbuster feel that Call of Duty has always kind of done. And I don't like that. I don't want that. Now, at the same time, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to write off Hardline completely here. They are showing much larger mission areas for Hardline's campaign. You know, they definitely talked about having player option and sort of saying, you know, you're not forced to just enter through one door. You sort of have this whole big area. You can enter from here, you can enter from there, you can take a motorcycle in, you can walk in, you can stealth in. You know, they're trying to give us options. They're trying to get back to those sort of sandbox roots that Bad Company was so well known for. But that's really to be seen, you know, that's sort of neither here nor there. And the QuickTime events just really genuinely concern me. I'm not saying that QuickTime events events are the devil, but they're fit for games that feel like they need to force the player into interesting situations, and that again has never been a key element in the Battlefield franchise, so that disappoints me very, very much. At the same time, a lot of us have already played the multiplayer component for Hardline, and really wasn't anything special to me. I liked the idea of it, but at the end of the game, it was sort of more Battlefield 4 in a different skin. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Battlefield Hardline isn't really like the next Battlefield, and that may be the case, and hopefully the insane amount of time that we're going to have between Hardline and the next Battlefield entry will mean that DICE can get back to doing something really good with the franchise, like perhaps Bad Company 3? Please? Can we have that, DICE? In the meantime, of course, they're working on Battlefront, which will hopefully be a great series. You know, we really don't know anything about the game. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what DICE does with it. Now, at the end of the day, this is just my opinions, guys. To me, Battlefield is something that I have always loved and I always will. As much as I hate so many things in Battlefield 4 and all the connection issues that we dealt with at launch, I have played a lot of this game, and I've had a lot of good times with it. You know, there have been plenty of those Battlefield moments. This was a match that I've been holding on to forever. Not the best match in the world, but you know what? It was just filled with awesome Battlefield moments. I flew in a little bird, and I actually got kills with a freaking AUG out of the side of the door. It's just, the whole thing was just full of really great moments. Managed to do some serious playing the objective on my own, defending A. It was a prime example of a match that went really, really well, and it was purely just because of the players, you know? There was no influence from the game, it was just how it happened to pan out, how the players played the game, that made me have a really good time, and of course playing with friends always helps in Battlefield, as we all know, so I'm not writing off Hardline, I'm not writing off Battlefield as a franchise. I want to see it do well. I want to see DICE make a Battlefield game that they're proud of. I don't want to see them make a Battlefield game that is just there to try and outsell Call of Duty. I know that that is a serious issue with the AAA industry right now as a whole, you know, and maybe there's nothing that DICE can do about that as a developer. Maybe EA really is forcing them to, you know, to sort of go in whatever direction they say. You know, we really don't know how that kind of thing works. Of course, everybody just likes to hate on EA. I choose to just admit the truth, which is I just don't know. I don't have the answers in that situation. I'd like to think that's not the case. But at the same time, you know, I'd like to think that DICE isn't choosing to chase the tail of Call of Duty and just try and outsell it. You know, you don't need to outsell Call of Duty. The Battlefield franchise sells very well every single year, but again, that sort of comes down to publishers wanting these games to... They want these games to make more and more money, and that's because these games are costing more and more to release, not just on a development budget, but on a marketing budget. And this is something I've talked about many times before, so we're not going to get into that because I could just ramble on for countless hours. At the end of the day, I want to hear what you have to say about Battlefield as a franchise. As I've said, I don't want to see it follow Call of Duty. It needs to go back to its roots. DICE needs to look at what has always worked well in the franchise. You know, Battlefield moments. What are Battlefield moments revolving around? What did you market them around, DICE? That's what you need to look at. You need to go back in time, check that out, take a look at your past success with games like Bad Company, and bring us the Battlefield that DICE truly deserves to release. I'm not just talking about the Battlefield that the consumer, that us as players deserve to play, but the one that DICE deserves to make, because DICE made Bad Company, and Bad Company to me is still to this day a pair of the greatest first-person shooter experiences that you will ever play. I recommend them to anyone who owns an Xbox 360. Go play Bad Company 2. You can still pick it up. There are still people playing it online on the 360 as well as on the PC. It is a game that you need to play if you're at all interested in Battlefield. Let me know your thoughts on the franchise, guys. What do you think of Hardline? What do you think of the future as the series as a whole? You know, let it out. Cry a little bit if you want to. You know, maybe do a little bit of a trip down memory lane, you know, get the nostalgia juices flowing, talk about your past Battlefield experiences, and at the end of the day, what is your all-time favorite Battlefield game? Is it 2142, 1942, 1943, the arcade edition? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you, hopefully, on the Battlefield.